know, I'm something of a podcast myself. I'm something of a podcast myself. You know, I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast myself.
All right, welcome to Something of a Podcast. The only podcast brave enough to say, I'm something of a podcast myself. That was our very jakey intro. I am Mike Gans, and with me is Kai Von Doom. Say hello, Kai.
Hello.
Nice. So this is something of a podcast. It's not just a Spider-Man podcast. There's, definitely plenty of Spider-Man, but it's something of a comedy podcast. It's something of a leftist podcast. It's something of a Spider-Man podcast. It's something of an interview podcast. It's something of a whatever we want it to be podcast, which is great because I'm something of a comedian at best. The idea is to just have a platform to talk about whatever we want. We talk about a lot of comedy and media and politics, and then also interview other people and talk to them, talk to cool people and stuff like that. Kai, what are you excited about starting this podcast? What are you looking forward to?
I'm just excited to just nerd out, just talk about Marvel because I annoy all my non-comic book reading friends with it way too much.
Yeah, for sure. Like every time, there's been a new movie out recently, whether it was The Marvels or Madam Web, I go to ask my friends if they want to go see the movie and they've never heard of the movie, you know?
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. I'm happy to be doing a podcast with you here. We have something of a podcast, SOAP, that makes us soap, So when life is getting dirty, you need a little bit of soap, get clean. That's us.
I like that.
So we're a big fan of the soap emoji. At least I am. I say we, because it's Black History Month. So I figured I would talk for you while we're off to a good start here. So, Kai, tell me / us a little bit about yourself. I would like to know the Kai Von Doom origin story.
Okay, my origin story. So I'm also something of a comedian myself. I've been doing stand-up for 5 years now, going on 6, which feels like that doesn't even feel right. I feel like I just started. But then I see other people and I realize I'm a lot more advanced than I think. So yeah, I've always been a nerd. Obviously, my stage name comes from Dr. Doom's name, Kai Von Doom.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's all there is to know about me basically is comedy and comic books. That's pretty much all I talk about and care about.
Hell yeah. An extraordinary cosplayer too. You've busted out quite a few different looks over the years, correct?
Oh yeah, I spent way too much money on cosplay in my lifetime.
I think the last time I seen you in person in a cosplay were you Scorpion from Mortal Kombat?
Yes, I was Scorpion. And this past year for my birthday, I did Slutty Doctor Doom, my favorite one
Bloody
yet.
Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I somehow missed that one, I think. So yeah, when you were dressed as a Scorpion, when you cosplayed as Scorpion, that was actually at the Flower City Comic Con in Rochester, New York, in 2022 when we did a panel together. We did the Justice League of Queers panel at the Flower City Comic Con, and so that's similar to the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing here, talking about the intersection of comic book media and nerd media with comedy and politics and social and racial justice and economic justice and all the things. I've not done this before, so I'm figuring it out. It's something of a trial by fire here or whatever. For those on video, I am reporting live from Dr. Evil's underground lair. So yeah, that's Kai Von Doom. I'm Mike Gams. I don't know what there is to say about myself that I don't already say about myself pretty regularly all the time. Listening to this podcast is going to emulate what it's like to hang out with me in real life, which is just me chirp, 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 chirping in your ear for an extended period of time. I'm a stand-up comedian, something of a journalist, something of a failed congressional candidate. But yeah, that is me. That is I. We're gonna have a lot of fun here. We're gonna bring on guests. This first episode, we're just gonna chill and just be me and Kai and sort of figure out what the hell we're doing here. We're gonna have little different segments here and there. We're gonna bring in different things to talk about. I have something, a topic like I brought in. I have a joke to introduce part of what we're going to be talking about for our first topic. So, Kai, would you like to see my impression of Sylvester Stallone walking onto the set of the hit award-winning comedy show The Bear?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Hey yo! Hey yo!
Oh, that's it?
That's the whole impression. That's the whole impression.
Oh.
I told you I'm really good at impressions. That was not a great segue or transition, but we're familiar with the star of The Bear and Bottoms. And well, she was recently the host of Saturday Night Live for the first Saturday in Black History Month. Why don't I just play a clip? I have a clip from the cold open of Saturday Night Live on the first week in Black History Month. I'm starting it a few minutes in. It starts at basically the same place that the clip is going to start at, which is Punky Johnson, who I love, one of my favorite comedians, really talented, and Keenan Thompson co-hosting a CNN type show. And they're doing I think it's a town hall. So let me see about pulling up that clip.
Okay, our next question comes from someone who describes herself as a concerned South Carolina voter.
Yes, hello. My question is, why won't you debate Nikki Haley?
Oh my God, it's her.
We got to so as you saw, Kai, and those listening at home may not recognize the voice of who the concerned South Carolina citizen was, but it was none other than Nikki Haley herself. Not a comedian playing Nikki Haley, not a guest star coming in to play Nikki Haley, but Nikki Haley herself in the cold open of Saturday Night Live. Do you have any thoughts about that, Kai?
I just think it's interesting how SNL pretended to set itself up to be this not even apolitical, but just anti-Republican. They set themselves up to be that way, especially in the years that Kate McKinnon was on there dressed up like Hillary Clinton and crying and singing Hallelujah, which was also embarrassing. But to have Nikki Haley of all people on the show and give her any type of legitimacy, especially in the cold open, it's just ruining the importance of AO even hosting, in my opinion.
For sure. I agree. Definitely. The thing and on Saturday Night Live, it's no different to me than when they had Donald Trump host during the 2016 election. They're doing the same thing with Nikki Haley, and they had Nikki Haley come on. And I apologize if the clip didn't play, but it's fine. I encourage folks to go look it up on YouTube. All the Saturday Night Live clips are on Saturday Night Live's YouTube page, and you could hate watch them every Sunday like I do. It goes on. She goes on to make fun of both Trump and Biden and sort of put herself as sort of reasonable compared to them. And at least that's my take on it. And they I can't remember his name right now. I think it's James Austin Johnson. He plays Donald Trump. He did it. He does a really good Trump, but most of the criticism that he was giving to Nikki was like that she is a woman. It's this. Yeah, and that was about the teeth of it. But to make things even more egregious, and I apologize again that the clip isn't playing. After her question, she's still on there, and they have AO come back out, and she raises or not come back out. She makes an appearance in the cold open, and she asks, she's asking a question in the audience, and she says, "My question is for Nikki Haley, and my question is, what ended the Civil War?" I'll give you a hint. It starts with S and rhymes with lavery, right? At which point, Nikki Haley says, "You're right. I should have probably said that the first time," as her answer. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Wow.
They let her go on Saturday Night Live. Like, Saturday Night Live is supposed to be skewering her for having said that and existing, and they instead are giving her a platform to sanitize her image, make right on this sort of blunt or attempt to, and using a predominantly Black cast in that sketch to do so during Black History Month.
Yeah, I don't see what the joke even is supposed to be.
The joke is just that, like, she is there, and it's like, I can't, like, oh, it's really her, I guess. I don't know. But it's just, we're repeating the same things that we repeated, that we went through in 2016. Like, they say history repeats itself, but no one has learned their lesson on any of this, because we sit here and we laugh at Nikki Haley on Saturday Night Live, just like we sat here, people sit here and laugh when Donald Trump hosted Saturday Night Live, like during the primary, like during the 2016 election. And then he's on Jimmy Fallon and he's patting his head. And, do you remember that one? Jimmy Fallon is like touching his hair and they're having this like cute moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they would make the argument that like having Trump on there dancing to Drake is just letting him make a fool out of himself. But like you said, it's legitimizing him. And especially with Nikki Haley, she's not really a household name. But all these people see her on SNL. That puts her name in more people's minds.
For sure.
So it's just pushing her into the White House, if anything.
Yeah, and look, I don't think she's going to beat Donald Trump this year. No one is going to beat Trump, and definitely the primary and most likely the general election, unfortunately. But we're talking in the future. Nikki Haley is trying to position herself to be like the future. Trump can only be president so many. He can only win, like, if he, like, there'll have to be others,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's. I think you and I were actually discussing this the other day, not on the podcast, about how like Saturday Night Live is an institution. It's like the system that's been in place for 50 years, and that's why we're so. I get so angry and upset about it. It's not just it's just some show. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's not just that. It exists as this gate, or it used to be the only gate, and now still a very prominent gate for the entertainment industry, particularly comedy. And they continually hold water for fascists and, pieces of shit. And their criticism of most of these people, and particularly of the fascist-leaning centrist Democrats, is toothless in general. I digress. Do you want to see my impression of Sylvester Stallone walking onto the set of the movie Bottoms?
Sure.
Hey, yo! Or, hey, yo! That was probably better, huh? I gotta try to do the voice. Hey, yo!
That was a little bit better.
Hey, yo! Eh? but yeah, so it just, in Black History Month of, all months to be up to these shenanigans. It's just really, to me, I just find it really disrespectful for them to do this during our month, Kai?
Our month?
Yeah,
What do you mean by that?
it's, well, People of Color History Month, and
Oh, what color are you?
as an Italian, I identify as a person of color.
Oh
Hey,
yeah, what color is?
no, okay. For the record, I'm obviously just messing with you. I do not consider Italian to be a person of color. However, I do regret to inform all the soap heads out there and you, Kai, that when I was listening to the Talking Sopranos podcast, Michael Imperioli, who I love, very talented actor, plays Christopher in The Sopranos, said he does not consider himself white because he is Italian.
I'll let it slide. Nobody's perfect. He already had a strike against him in my book for being Italian. But Christopher can do whatever. He can say whatever he wants. I'll
Yeah,
just choose to ignore it.
yeah, okay. That is fair. I'm gonna bring in a clip though. I'm gonna just like show it in your face, so you have to see it.
I'll mute my laptop.
No, I do not consider myself a person of color. I just thought it would be good to continue messing with you during Black History Month. I'm an ally, folks.
I'm so glad the month is a third over already.
Yeah, is it already?
Yeah, it's the 10th today.
Well, yeah, that's true. It is over a third over. So man, did I screw that one up? Because not only is it the part of the reason why it's our month is because it was my birthday a couple days ago. So this is our month, Kai. We're gonna have to share it. Is that all right?
No, I'm sorry. During Black History Month, you get your birthday and that's it. You might get a weekend.
A weekend. Okay, okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
you could do the birthday weekend.
Okay, that's great. I turned 37, so on the 7th, which is pretty cool. And 37 feels a lot like 36, just with slightly more back pain. You shouldn't have given me a chuckle there. That did not warrant a chuckle, guy. The best thing about being 37 is I can make jokes like that now.
Yeah, you gotta step up your dad jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Instead of just being like an awkward guy, awkward, young guy making dad jokes, now I get to be like an old guy making old guy jokes. So I'm pretty excited about that. Oh yeah. So what's great is my birthday was on February 7th, which is every year the week before Valentine's Day, which is great because now it's like every February I get to feel old and then alone. You know. And you also have a holiday birthday too, essentially, right?
Yeah, my birthday is pretty close to Halloween.
Pretty on brand for Miss Von Doom.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why my birthday being in February is also on brand, because like we said, it's Black History Month. And,
Uh-huh. Continue.
you know,
I
because of
don't
the,
think I do.
um, do I have to explain? I'm just kidding. No, I definitely don't. So brings me to the most important question. I think that all the listeners out there really want to know, which is Kai Von Doom, why on earth would you agree to do a podcast with Mike Cam?
Honestly, after the Sly Stallone impression, I'm regretting it. This might be the last episode.
This might be the last episode. But I don't think so, because there is going to be a next episode, because we wouldn't do that to Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg during Black History Month. Is that how am I doing? How am I doing,
What'd
Kai?
you say?
How am I doing? Is that was right about on Black History Month?
Yeah, that was a solid
Can I
Dr.
get
Dre reference.
can I get some gold star, my ally gold stars? That's what I'm after here, you can't really be an ally unless you tell people that you're an ally. That's kind of how it works, right?
You need to say it like a few more times.
Few more times.
At
Okay.
least 10, maybe.
At least 10. Is that sort of like Hail Marys, like when you go to church, and the nuns are
Yep.
like, you've been bad, you need to say 10 Hail Marys?
Yes, exactly. And you need to list all your black friends,
I do.
obviously.
Okay. I do like to make lists of all my friends based on race, just in case, I want to have a list. If we were just to, read a list of all of my black friends, we would have to pay for Zoom Premium, because boy, that episode would just keep going and going and going. I am an ally. Have I told you that? Kai?
No, I don't think you did.
Oh God. Yeah. I think on that note, we should take a break, and then when we come back, we're gonna go over our top three. All right.
All right, sounds good.
All right. All right, welcome back, soapsters. We'll come up with something good. Well, first we have to have listeners, and then I'll come up with a name for the listeners. But welcome back from a break. That probably wasn't a break for anybody besides us, but here we are. And we're going to go start our first weekly segment that we're going to be doing, or try to do every week. Kai's going to tell us more about that. So go ahead, Kai.
Okay, so because this is something of a Spider-Man podcast, we are going to talk about our top three Spider-Man characters, but of course, excluding Peter Parker, because he'd just be everyone's number one. All right, Mike, if you wanted to go first, give your top three, kind of defend them
Sure.
a little bit, talk
Yeah.
about each one.
Let's see here. I think we should go one for one. I'll do one, and then you do one.
Yep.
So not first or not in order, but the first one that I am going to talk about is Superior Spider-Man.
Okay.
Do you know much about Superior Spider-Man? If none, either way, I'm ready to talk about it. But do you have any knowledge of that you can remember on that one?
I do, but I think you should talk about
You
them.
want me to go first? Okay.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we're supposed to do this. Okay. So Superior Spider-Man, for those who don't know, is a storyline in Spider-Man when Dr. Otto Octavius, by one way or another, is able to have a brain transplant, basically, with Peter Parker. So we have Otto Octavius's brain inside of Peter Parker's body. So it's technically maybe still Peter Parker, but I'm going to say it counts. And maybe when I'm done arguing my case, Kai might say it's not, it doesn't. But I love this storyline of Superior Spider-Man, and my favorite, like where I was first introduced to the storyline of Superior Spider-Man, which is where Doc Ock is the better Spider-Man, as taking over his brain, was from the often overlooked cartoon Marvel's Spider-Man, which aired from 2017 to about 2020. And it's season 2, really heavily focuses on the Otto Octavius storyline. And so I really, really, really love that show and recommend it to everybody who likes Spider-Man. And in particular, I wanted to mention the Superior Spider-Man storyline from it. Kai, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I don't know if I would say Superior Spider-Man counts for this. Because I know technically it's not Peter Parker because it's not his consciousness. But I would still say if it's his body and his abilities, I would say that doesn't count.
You might you might be right. Uh, okay, listeners, if you exist, let us know in the comments chat or send us a message if you think it should be in there. Okay, Kai, what's your what's your first pick?
So I wanted to be annoying and pick a character that I thought people hadn't really heard of. So I chose Silver Sable for my first
Silver
pick.
Sable. Okay, I am familiar, but not entirely familiar. I believe Sable is actually on that aforementioned cartoon show. But please tell me more about Silver Sable.
Yes, I do think she did make an appearance. So Silver Sable is such a tongue twister. I have to like say it slowly. So she worked with a group called the Wild Pack. That was a group of professional soldiers. They would hunt Nazis basically. So she's like this badass, like Nazi hunter, like bounty hunter soldier. Like I just love her looks. One of my dream cosplays, just like the silver hair with like the silver outfit. She just basically looks like Black Widow if she were mixed with the Silver Surfer, honestly. So I just always thought she was really cool, really badass, and underrated.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a great pick, definitely. And unlike mine, for sure counts on the list. It's my turn, I guess, then, right? For my next, we're
Yep.
doing top three. And so we're gonna just I don't know if I mentioned it. We're gonna do this every week where we each week have a different topic. We have a top three, and we each bring in our top three. And if we have a guest, they're gonna bring in their top three, and we're trying to do this every week, just like little top threes. So, with that said, my next choice in my top three favorite Spider-Man characters, not Peter Parker. I am gonna go with Ursula, the chocolate cake girl from Spider-Man 2 and 3, Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. The neighbor who lives next door. You know who I'm talking about?
You'll have to remind me.
Ursula. So, okay, we know we have Sam Raimi Spider-Man, the best Spider-Man, probably. Tobey Maguire. He's got this crappy apartment he lives in, and he's got that landlord who's always like, rent? Rent? Where's my rent? Right? And he's got a daughter
Yep.
named Ursula, who is this really, really skinny, like olive oil looking type woman, played by Magina Tova, who that later played the librarian in The Magicians, if anyone is familiar with that bisexual adult Harry Potter show. But Ursula is the person who's the nicest to Peter. She's always checking on him. She answers the phone. She brings him that chocolate cake. And I love her. And she was also a huge for me for representation as sickly, skinny folk because she was in that movie with a slight crop with V, like you could see the heart, like the hip bones like coming in, and I was like, oh yeah, we're in. Thoughts on that?
I'll have to rewatch the movies.
Uh,
But that's definitely an interesting choice. Not on my list for sure.
yeah,
So I was worried that we were gonna have some overlap, but it's looking like we don't have to worry about that.
you forgot how much of a dumbass I am.
So my second choice is someone much more well known than all the previous mentioned characters. So I had to put J.J. Jameson on my list.
That is a great choice. That is one of that was on my top five. I was potentially going to say, but J. Jonah Jameson, fantastic choice.
Yes, J. Jonah is the ultimate just straight man character in the movies and in pretty much every iteration of Spider-Man cartoons, he's just been this bumbling, loud idiot. He kind of was an Alex Jones type in the Tom whatever Spider-Man
Yeah,
movies, which is an interesting choice.
right.
But in the comics you see like so much more depth to him. This is a man who spent his last dollar buying a dying newspaper and just like making it his life's mission to revive it. He's just like, I care about journalism, I care about my city. I don't want to see the Spider-Man kid destroying
Right.
it. And as much as we all like to side with superheroes, especially Spider-Man. Like Peter Parker has always been like a representation of the young, the poor. Like he doesn't have the resources of all the other superheroes, so we like to put ourselves in his shoes. But and the older I get, the more I realize I might be J. Jonah Jameson. And I'm living in New York City, and everywhere the Spider-Man kid goes, there's like a wave of destruction. He's getting his webbing all over my windows that I just cleaned. Of course, I'm
Mhm.
gonna hate him. I'm gonna be pissed, and I'm gonna want to know who this is, who this kid thinks he is. This basic like cop child who's out here thinking he could police the neighborhood.
Oh
So
man,
I love JJ. He did nothing wrong.
that is it. Wow,
He's
that
an
is
angel.
excellent. So you see yourself as J. Jonah Jameson, and I see myself as that Peter Parker you were describing that causes destruction everywhere he goes. Uh,
I wouldn't say I see myself fully as Jameson. I'm saying I see how someone can become that way.
yeah, for sure. And that
I
was
think I see myself as Miles Morales
ah,
more out of anyone in the
that's
universe.
good. Yeah. But no, I love J. Jonah. He is one of my favorite characters also, and like I said, I almost brought him in. He is just such a great foil for Peter Parker slash Spider-Man too, because it's this fucking boss who is everyone's
Yeah.
like a foil. It's a source of conflict. Is your obnoxious, arrogant boss, stingy ass boss. But then also he's makes Peter Parker's makes Spider-Man's life more difficult. He's the main guy coming after Spider-Man, and um, then to add another layer of it, his son is the rich astronaut, John Jameson, who in many storylines, including the Sam Raimi movies, gets engaged to Mary Jane, the love of
Hmm.
Peter's life, and is also in many storylines part of the reason how Venom got to Earth because it came in the Jameson's rocket back to Earth or spaceship.
Yep.
So yeah, J. Jonah Jameson is the most essential character. Like he is part of everything, and uh,
Peter Parker is the heart of the Marvel universe. I would say JJ Jameson is the heart of Spider-Man comics.
yeah, for sure. It's an often talked about moment, but it's worth bringing up once again, which is the essential to me J. Jonah Jameson moment from the Sam Raimi movies is in Spider-Man 2 when Dr. Octopus comes in and demands he wants to know who Spider-Man is or who takes the pictures of Spider-Man. And J. Jonah Jameson, for as much shit as he talks to Peter and for as big of a jerk as he is as a boss, he ain't no rat. He ain't no snitch.
Yes.
He does not give up Peter Parker, even with Doc Ock choking him against the wall.
Yep, because a good journalist would not rat out his source.
Correct. And we don't have good journalists like that anymore. All right. So that was your second choice, and that was a brilliant addition. All right. So we are to our third one. Okay. So my third pick is also a character that I was first introduced to from Marvel's Spider-Man, my favorite cartoon. Well, I don't know about favorite, but a cartoon that I think is very underrated and I like to talk about a lot because but is the character Anya Corazon, also known as Spider
Oh,
Girl. Uh,
she was almost on my list.
and for those folk in on audio only, you cannot see that I am holding up a Anya Corazon action figure, as you see there, Connie. So yeah,
That's
that's
pretty
my girl.
cool.
She's great. Love her. And she's gonna be in the new Madam Web movie, which I love Madam Web too. That character is a great character, particularly the one from like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh yeah,
But
iconic.
yeah, for sure. But mostly, not only is Anya Corazon, I'm So White, one of my favorite non Peter Parker characters because she's on one of my favorite shows and all that. And so she part of the reason I also brought her in isn't just because she's one of my favorites, but also I did want to talk about that she's in the upcoming Madam Web movie, which man, it doesn't look great, but I am going to be seeing it as soon as it comes out. If you're listening to this, it's probably already came out, and I've probably already seen it. I'm interested to see her character in this movie because she's played by. Let me see here. I have it written down. Isabel Merced. I don't know how I'm bad with. I'm just as mayo as they come. So she is most known as she played Dora in the live action Dora the Explorer show. And then she was a voice on Dora, the original Dora, but not Dora, but another character on the show. So she was like in the Doraverse forever. A mainstay in the Doraverse is now coming to be Anya Corazon. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? And then also, what was your third?
I gotta say that's the first time I've ever heard Doraverse. I like that.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a good pick. She's definitely underrated. She almost was on my list. So for my final pick, I was thinking of Anya, I was thinking of Miles Morales, but I
Mm-hmm.
ended up wanting to do just no spider people at all on my list.
Okay.
So this last pick is going to be controversial, but also very obvious. You might
Okay.
say it doesn't count, but I got to go with Doctor Doom. There's no way I can't.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Doctor Doom is frequently shows up in the Spider Verse as often a foil of Spider-Man. So yeah, no, that totally counts. Go ahead, tell me all about why. Tell me and everyone else why you love Doctor Doom so much, Miss
So,
Time on Doom.
Doctor, yeah, so obviously I love Doctor Doom so much, I named myself after him. On a surface level, if you've only seen like the Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, like Fantastic Four movies, you would just see Doctor Doom as a hater because that's kind of how he's been portrayed.
Who played him
In
in that
like,
movie again?
it was I forget the actor's name, the guy from Nip Tuck.
Oh,
Yeah, which I think he was a pretty decent Doctor Doom, much better than the one in the newer Fantastic Four movie. Awful. I'm scared to see who they're going to get to play him now. But I don't know. We'll see. I heard Keanu Reeves. As much as I love Keanu, that would be a terrible choice for Doom. But if you look past the surface level of him just being like an ultra hater, because
mhm.
I mean, he does hate on Reed Richards a lot. But Doctor Doom is one of the most intelligent people in the Marvel universe. He's one of the most successful villains.
Mhm.
Like he's been running a country, he's got his doom bots, his plans succeed most of the time. And he has an honor code. Like he doesn't just like attack all the Marvel heroes. He has heroes who he respects, Peter Parker being one of them. So whenever he shows up in Spider-Man comics or in Spider-Man cartoons, it's kind of like there's a mutual respect that they have for each other as men of science.
Right, for sure. Um, and
And
I would
since Doom has an honor code, he respects what a good man Peter Parker is
mhm.
and he won't go out of his way to attack him or cause him strife. And I just think Doom is so complicated and we haven't even seen the extent of his powers in any visual media aside from the comic books. So in the cartoons and movies, he's been kind of not dumbed down, but we don't see the full extent of what he can do in his godlike power.
Yeah, he's not had a big feature role in any of the live action or television or live action or cartoon stuff that, at least to my knowledge, he's in all the Spider-Man cartoons. He's definitely a factor of a character, but not given the full like arcs. Maybe gets an episode or two episodes, but not like a huge continued arc as like a big bad or And
Mhm.
what do you
And
think about Doctor Doom? Um, there's a lot of talk about Doctor Doom coming into the MCU and all this stuff. What are your thoughts on all that?
so I believe, especially with what's going on with Jonathan Majors, this is the perfect time to introduce Doom as the next big bad. Like I think when I think of like the Parthenon of Marvel villains, the ones that are like inspire the most fear, are the most difficult to defeat, and just have this large scope that are just, the ultimate big bads. I think of Doctor Doom, I think of Galactus, and I think that's the direction I want to see the MCU heading, is to have just Doctor Doom be this huge, like fearful figure.
Yeah, for sure. So who would you mentioned it a little bit, but what would your like dream casting be for Doctor Doom?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would want to see. And this might be a controversial pick, but I would want to see Daniel Day Kim play Doctor Doom.
I see. Okay, cool. How would you feel? Have they ever gender swapped Doctor Doom? Has there been a Mrs. Doctor Doom?
No, there's no female Doom, which I would love to see, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe Kai Von Doom is the soon to be first, female Doctor Doom, I don't know how that
Yeah,
makes
I'd love
yeah, it does make sense, but yes, I'm into that. That is cool. Yeah, so that's our a top three. Let's go over it one more time. My top three. We're doing top three Spider-Man characters who were not Peter Parker. And so I'll read you what I got. Well, what I already went. So mine were Superior Spider-Man, Ursula the Chocolate Cake Girl, and Anya Corazon.
that.
Yep. And your top three were again?
My top three were Silver Sable, J. Jonah Jameson, and Doctor Doom.
Cool. That's a great list. And so you, previous to us recording here today, you came up with that top three topic. You for the first one. Yeah, I think you had suggested that, right? Top three non-Spider-Man characters. So it's my turn to do so. And because like I've said before, and we all know I'm a really big ally, and it is Black History Month. I'm gonna say top three Black superheroes. Let's do it because I know
All
the
right.
what Black people want during Black History Month is to be given homework to educate white people about Black history, right?
Of course. And we all know both of our lists is going to be Storm three times.
Storm three times. No, yeah, that's the only one.
Or Black Panther. Those are the only two. How are we going to
Yeah.
do three?
Um, is that an acceptable top three to you? You're in charge. It's your month. Is that okay?
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it. Except
Okay.
let's say no Storm, no Black Panther, no Miles Morales.
Okay. No Storm, no Black Panther, no Miles Morales, because those are like the big three. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So that's our top three. And this has been something of a disorganized trip through chaos, but something of a coherent uh, 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 audio journey, I would like to say. I would like to hope. I hope we could get some folk to listen. And if you do, that's great. And keep listening and tell your friends. We're going to have some really great guests on soon. I'm not sure. We're not sure if the next episode is going to be just us or if we're going to have guests. We'll figure that out soon. But we have an Instagram account, which is at something of a pod. And we have an email address, somethingofapod@gmail.com. So definitely feel free to reach out, send us messages, emails. I want to try to get something set up to have like a voicemail line so people could call in and leave a message and we could play different stuff or have some interaction with some listeners. If and when they show up, it's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Kai, any more additional thoughts to add?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess, yeah, so I'm Mike Gams. You can follow me on all the things at Mike Gams. Yep. And Kai, where can the people find you?
I'm Kai Von Doom. Follow me on TikTok at Miss Von Doom 77 and on Facebook at Kai Von Doom Comedy.
Hell yeah. So I don't know what to say as an outro, but just remember, with great podcast comes great responsibility.
You know, I'm something of a podcast myself. I'm something of a podcast myself. You know, I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast myself.